welcome to Tunacheki. I'm Mike Mushi, and today I'm joined by Wongel. Maybe she can tell you a bit about herself.
Hi everyone, I am Wongil Zalalam. I'm a YouTuber and I am a Pan-African.
So she's going to join us on our weekly African news podcast show, where we will be doing a recap of all the happenings that took place in Africa during the week. So we'll just talk freely and give you our opinions on what's actually happening on the continent. So before we join, as we wait for other people to join the stream, you usually know the routine. Please make sure to share this stream as going on. Subscribe, like, hit the subscription on Tunacheki, and also the same to Wongel, so you can tell people where they can find you, your other channels, Instagram.
Okay, Wengel Zalalam. My channel name is actually my name, but also they can find me on African Diaspora News channel. I also report over there. So in case people don't know how to spell my name, you can maybe put it down below or something for them, like the link, because it can be hard. If you're not Ethiopian, my name is a bit, yeah. So yeah, you can find me by just typing my name, Wengel Zalalam.
Okay. So,
hi, Alpha.
So we collaborate a lot. We were in Ethiopia together during the year of return that Ethiopia was doing, and we were also together during the launch of Maua and the Garden of Plenty. So we decided to actually start discussing on the things we report to you guys weekly. We both focus on news, African news, and we thought if there was any two people who could just sit down and talk about the current events happening in Africa, this combination would be perfect, right? So join us and feel free to ask us any questions if you have any tips of something that happened, something huge that happened this week that we didn't cover on both our channels. You can let us know, but for you to know that, you must go to Wongel's channel and make sure to know what she talked about. So for that, you have to go and subscribe to our channel. So please make sure you do that. Before we start, we have an announcement to make. So we are almost reaching 1 million subscribers for us in Turkey. And for celebrating, we'll do something absolutely crazy, right? We'll do a marathon stream where we will play the national anthem of all 55 African countries. I'm saying 55 because I'm counting Western Sahara because it has its own national anthem. So the reason we're doing this, 2 years back, we did this story where the Kenyan national anthem was allegedly copyrighted by a British company. So we only found that one out by mistake, right? Because we were doing the video top 10 most beautiful national anthem in Africa, and we got a copyright strike. So we were wondering, what? The national anthem can get a copyright strike. So having realized that you really don't know who's copyrighting your national heritage or national anthem, we never know who's copyrighted Ethiopia's national anthem, right? Until we play. So what we'll do is we'll do a live stream marathon, and we'll play individually, like all the national anthems and different versions, right? Because they usually use this loophole that if it's a rendition, it can be copyrighted, but in the rules, you can't just copyright a country's national anthem. So we'll play different national anthem based on we will decide if we'll do it alphabetical order or by public demand, based on what the chat says. And at the end of it, we'll give you a report in the next video after we've passed the 1 million subscriber mark, and we'll tell you out of the 55 national anthems, which one got us copyrights. And then I will actually tell you, like, Ghana, your national anthem is copyrighted by this and this company. So if you're Ghanaian, it's up to you to figure out how to, complain. If you're Ethiopian and Ethiopian got 3 copyright strikes that this company owns it, like like even if it's a local company that's claiming it. So let's say like Hope TV, right? It's like a very huge channel in Ethiopia, right? I think they've got more than 4 million subscribers. They do music. So even if that one copyrights the national anthem, it's wrong. So like the national anthem should be free for everybody. Yeah, so that's the experiment we'll do, and it wouldn't be easy, right? Because you can imagine how much data I'll actually end up using. Yeah, yeah. So with that short recap, we can start with the main show. Thank you, Nobel Brown, for the super chat. We appreciate you. So Nobel says, love you, sister and brother from San Francisco. We
love you too.
So let's start. Maybe, Wangel, you can start us off.
Okay, so the hot topic right now is Russia and Ukraine, right? And in the midst of it is Africans being mistreated. We've done so many reports, heartbreaking reports, sad reports, and some of them thankfully made it back home. But there are still Africans that are stuck in Ukraine, some underground, some are even missing. People don't know where they are. So I think we should cover and talk about a little bit about the Ukraine, Russia, and the impact it had on Black people.
Yes, yes. So for me, maybe I can add on that is today's news we did a report that says that the ambassadors of the EU and the UK and European ambassadors met in Tanzania to coerce Africa to support the resolution that the UN is pushing against Russia. Right? As you know, many African countries didn't join the world in supporting NATO and going with what NATO was saying when the war broke out. So I think there were 19 African countries abstained from voting, so they didn't vote against and they didn't vote for. Only Eritrea was the only African country that voted to support Russia, right? Out of like only 3 countries decided to support Russia, and Eritrea was one of them. Ethiopia was not even there. They were like, peace out. You guys have been interfering with us. So like they're not even in the room. That's another diss, right? Because abstaining is kind of polite, right? But not even sending your ambassador to
that's a clear message, actually. I feel like
definitely, they're like, we're out. You deal with your world, with your first world issues that you're forcing upon us. So yeah, those ambassadors, they were there in Africa trying to coerce Africans to parrot what the EU and the United States are saying about the current conflicts, right? So for us, like for me, my opinion is that any war is terrible, any war is bad, right? But there should also be like freedom of choice. If a country feels it resonates with what Russia is doing, Russia maybe can be like saying we are protecting our borders from NATO, right? Like that's okay. That's that country's opinion, right? If a country is like Russia is doing bad, invading a sovereign country is wrong, no matter what the reason. That's it. Our only problem is that countries, especially African countries, should have the ability to actually state that without fear of sanctions, like they're doing for Eritrea, without fear of you lose aid or you'll not get that World Bank loan that your country has been searching for, or you'll just be put in the bad boys group that the Western countries put African countries, like the Zimbabweans, the Burundis, the countries that get sanctioned and all that. Yeah. So that's opinion on now how they're bringing the war back to Africa, right? Africa has nothing to do with that war, right? Yeah. And then And then another thing I can add, because the president of Ukraine keeps saying that, oh, it's it's a world war, it will lead to World War III, right? But according to us, it's just in Europe, right? Africa, South America, Asia, all Oceania have nothing to do with it, right? Not even a bit. So yeah, that's my opinion on that current war. First, how they're trying to influence other African countries to follow what they're saying, regardless of the country's opinion, and second, that it's a European war and it should stay in Europe, right? They are not involved. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't know if it will stay there, right? We're already feeling the impact with prices hiking up and all the imports that it affects. I mean, indirectly, it's going to affect us, but I get your point. Directly, it's not actually our war, right? And you stated that we don't support war, obviously, anywhere in the world. It's war is ugly, and we don't want that. But for me, it's the hypocrisy or the double standards. How can you expect Africans to side with you when you are mistreating its own people? At the end of the day, Africa is Africans, and Africans in Ukraine, how are they being treated? We have evidence now. And the sad thing and the most annoying thing to me was when stories of Africans being discriminated against and mistreated started coming out, their foreign minister, Ukrainian foreign minister, came out and he said, no, he literally debunked it. They claimed it as Russia's misinformation campaign. And the videos kept coming. You've done reports on it. I've done reports on it. We've seen the actual footage of those Africans and their students. The sad thing is these are like late teens, 20s. Like, it's so sad. They went there to go to school. Most of them are students. So for them, you see the agenda, or like, it doesn't go with their narrative. They want to push this evil versus good, which is evil is Russia, right? And then good is Ukraine and the Western world and whatever. Like, as you said, that's what is going on. It's good to know the truth and the facts and for us to dig deep, but that is what's been happening. And on the ground, when they're mistreating our own and they speak up, instead of giving it light and talking about it in the mainstream media, they were debating the fact that this is true or not. It's Russians spreading this false narrative instead of accepting that there might be a mistreatment and racial discrimination against Africans. So for me, how I look at it is, as a Kenyan or as a Nigerian government, if you are seeing that happening to your own people in that country and they come and ask you, help us, like, how does that make sense? To me, that's how I look at it, because if you're not going to be a voice to us, instead, you just want to focus on the narrative you want to push, true or not, evil versus, good or whatever. If you're going to use that to silence the Africans on the ground that are going through that, sorry, I don't know how to empathize with you. I understand there are innocent people and civilians that are hurting there, and we do not want that to happen to anybody in this world, even to our enemies. But at the same time, I I I don't think they can ask African leaders to be on their side. Like, at least I can respect what South Africa's president Cyril Ramaphosa is doing. He literally said, "This is the fault of NATO." I mean, I'm not saying let's point fingers or turn on one country. It's That's not the case. But the case is, let's look at the facts. So instead of you just blaming and pointing your fingers, you should take accountability, is what he said. They were attacking him for saying that. He literally said he's against war, but NATO has a role to play, and they turned against him. Julius Malema, what did he say? He was saying, okay, I think he takes everything to the extreme. I love that guy, but you heard his speech. He said,
Yeah,
what do you
and it's
mean?
not,
South Africa should be on Russian side. It's not even a question. Like, what do you mean? They're the ones that put sanctions on South Africa when there was apartheid. And so we have to be on their side. Those were his words. So I suspect they expected people to just automatically believe the narrative that they were pushing, the mainstream media, the Western mainstream media narrative, which is one evil, one good. Come, let's help the good. Come, let's, you know, do this thing as a unit, right? Like, let's unite. And then Africans were like, hold up, like, these people have not done anything to us. Why do you want us to turn against them? And you talked about the president of Ukraine, and I thought it was interesting how he was asking for foreign volunteers to come and help him out, and about 20,000 people volunteered. But the minute Russian president asked for, volunteers, and Syrians started registering, he called them thugs. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. Like, what do you mean thugs? Aren't you doing the exact same thing? Are you calling them thugs because they're not supporting you? So there's so many double standards. For me, this war showed me the hypocrisy of it all, the double standards. Again, I'm not saying war is good. We're not happy that this is happening. We're not supporting anything, but at the same time, it's really good to see things for what they are. Even if you don't want to pick sides, you have to stand up for what is right. And for me, at the moment, priority should be getting those Africans outside of Ukraine. And the sad thing is, even the ones that left Ukraine, there were some reports I read that in Poland there were some white supremacists killed a few students that are African. So they're facing war left and right, and instead of focusing on them now, it's like, oh my God, let's only care about the blue-eyed, blonde-hair people, and that's what I'm against. I'm not against like stopping war. Just want to make that clear.
Yeah, let me add on that Poland thing. So, like, there was I think it was a minister of immigration. Like, I was even planning to react on that video in Africa in the News, where he was so proud that like Poland has no Muslims and no African refugees, but he's happy to bring in all Ukrainians. They're white, right? And he was so happy. And then the announcer is like, that's racist. Then it's like, yes, it's like he was so proud of his like a racism. So as you said, even if they are escaping Ukraine, like people don't like admitting, but Europe has a culture of racism and it's ingrained in them, right? So like even if they survive Ukraine, will they survive Europe, right, before they return? So that's another question. Also, and adding on the double standards, we're also planning another video that will talk about how crazy the president of Ukraine wearing military fatigues is like the new Messiah, is like the new Jesus. But when the president of Prime Minister of Ethiopia did that to actually save his people, right? It was like, oh, the devil, he used to be a child soldier, he's like even the sub that are ridiculing him, then here's the reality. Abiy is actually like a lieutenant. He's actually a trained military personnel from the age of 16, right? He's actually a tactician. He's actually a military person, disciplined. He rose through the rank through his hard work to where he is right now, right?
Well, so at least the Ukrainian president is an actor. You know that, right?
And then on the other side, the Ukrainian president is just a comedian, right? Like, the qualifications of the Ukrainian president and Trevor Noah are the same. There's no difference between Trevor Noah and that guy. But that guy, because he's white, that's the only qualification. You need to be called the new Messiah and the new Jesus, right? Like the way they're saying, oh, he looks so hot with his military outfit. Like you see how Western media like directs the narrative, where it, like, no matter what it is, even if it's something insane, truth doesn't matter to them. It's just the narrative that fits what they're saying. Ukrainian president is like God or Jesus for dressing in the military outfit, going behind a green screen, and not actually going to the front. He's not been to the front, to the to the front of the wall. He's behind a green screen. He's like the new Messiah, right? The Prime Minister of Ethiopia is actually, in the front line, like actually where people are shooting, where the snipers where he could have died anytime. He's actually risking his life to save his people, right? He was ridiculed, saying they should take away his Nobel Peace Prize because what kind of Nobel Peace Prize winner goes to war? So that was the narrative, right? Everybody was attacking him. They even almost took his Nobel Peace Prize, right? But on the other hand, I think in this world, the only qualification you need to be successful in this world is to be white. I think that's the only pass you need, and everything is just overlooked.
Yeah, and you know what's sad, in my opinion? As you said, in Poland, like people were really proud to welcome Ukrainians. UK have been fighting for those Ukrainians to come through, and they were saying we'll even like I believe it was the foreign minister that was saying, like, even if you're a British person that wants to go and help, and like things that they will never allow anybody else do, right? So at least they're supporting their own. Us, on the other hand, I just did a story about a man from Burundi, a farmer, that said he is pledging 100 kilograms of maize to the Ukrainians. He wants to help out. I mean, I'm sure it's coming from a good place. I'm not doubting that. But did he offer that to Ethiopians when there's war and famine? Did he? Did he? Maybe he did, but we didn't hear about it. Nigeria, did he do that? His neighboring, even Burundi. Burundi is the poorest country according to Google. At least it's like they're the poorest. He is living in the poorest country in the world. Is he helping his neighbors? But he was willing to do that for the blonde hair, blue eyes, and like that's sad for me to look at, not because the guy is generous, but the fact that we're so quick to help others instead of our own. He's not the only person. Nigerians wanted to join. Some Nigerian men wanted to join the war. Some Senegalese men wanted to join the war. Thankfully, the government shut it down real quick, which we're thankful for. And even one Nigerian that really caught my eyes, it's not like he wanted money. He said it himself. He's a lawyer. He's 29 years old. And he said, I live comfortably in Nigeria, but they touched my heart. I want to go and fight for Ukraine. I was like, okay, but like,
I have one reason why that's happening, even the Burundian guy, because in our latest episode for Africa in the News, we talked about it, right? It's not those Africans are not doing that from a place of like they don't care about their own brothers. They're doing it because they care about white people more than they care about the people who look like them. No, they're doing it because they're brainwashed, right? Like they've been brainwashed. So when you like in Africa, unfortunately, we don't have our own continent-wide African news stations, African news streams. Our reporters, most of them work for foreign press agencies. So when the stories are told, because I was even asking, did anybody even put the Mozambique flag when Mozambique was having problems, right? But so many Africans, even in the social media, they're putting the Ukrainian flags. Did they put the Nigerian flag? Did they put the No More movement icon? Did they put the Mali icon? Did they put the none of them do that? But when France is bombed, everybody, and I mean everybody in my, in your timeline, Twitter, Facebook was putting the France icon. Oh, be brave, France! But when Kenya was bombed, like nobody. When there's a terrorist attack in Africa, nobody cares. The reason, the reason why this happens, right, is because the people who are controlling the media controls the minds of Africans, right? They are brainwashed. They're like children, right? If you tell a child go there and sit, a child will go there and sit, right? They like it, like they're not taught to be like, hey, wait, I don't want to sit there, right? You must obey your parents. So Western media is herding majority of Africans like sheep. Look at Ukraine. Oh, it's so sad. Help them like that. And Africans are just following through blindly, right? They don't care. Like as you said, Burundi, people could be starving, like even his neighbor next door. But because he sees CNN, he sees BBC, he sees Al Jazeera, and the only thing he sees are Ukrainians, and they're like, help Ukraine or support Ukraine. Everybody just focuses on that and leaving your own people. So, like our only cure for that is that, as the Prime Minister of Ethiopia said, Africa needs its own 24-hour news channel where we can be pumping relevant information to these young, fragile minds, right? Like rather than 24-hour news, repetitive news on Ukraine, like we can have actual African news where we talk about our issues. And this is the thing, on local news stations, right? Like you think they report local news, but they just report the current news that's happening, right? In our local ones, the KTNs and the NTVs. And then like from 11, they just put in the France 24, the CNN, the BBC. So even whatever they're doing to make local news, it's just erased by the brainwashing that's afterwards, that's happening over there. So my conclusion is that what you're talking about is sad, and it will still continue, right? Even if this war spills to Poland, spills to the whole of Europe, Africans would care about that more than they care about like your next door neighbor who's actually in need of help.
Yeah, and you are spot on. I believe that's the case as well. It's the information we get, and we are programmed to believe that the world revolves around them. Like even even when you watch Hollywood movies, like aliens land on Earth, they're going to the US, right? Like anything happens, it's in the US. It's because they see it in their own lens. Now the issue is we are also seeing everything in their lens, because everything we consume is produced by them. So you are right. That's exactly what's happening.
And also this war really showed us, as I said, everything we consume is produced by them. The dangers of that, of these platforms that we use, the Twitters, the YouTubes, the Facebooks, the McDonald's, the KFCs. Meaning, if the West does not like you, if you're in the bad, it's called the bad group, they can take it away like this quickly. Like if you saw what happened in Russia, right? Like think about it. There's this Russian Instagrammer. I think she had 52 million subscribers, right? Like Instagram is like a full-time job. So when Instagram shut off, livelihood was taken, and she has nothing to do with the war. She doesn't know Putin. She's not Putin's friend. Like you might even find she's one of those people who might be out protesting against the war, but because when you're like in the West, when you're a bad guy, they don't care.
Bad guy according to them.
Yeah, according to them. If you're Russian, like right now, they're happy when Russians are dying, right? Like even in the like I was watching this Trevor Noah, like when he's reporting on that, he's actually excited when he's like, oh, Russia has lost only 4,000 people. Sorry, Ukraine has lost only 1,000 soldiers. Russia has lost 4,000 soldiers. He's actually happy of the death. You know, like you shouldn't be happy about war. War is tragic, regardless of the side, right? A death is a death. It doesn't matter if it's a Russian death or a Ukrainian death, right? We should be focusing more on, hey, why are they fighting? Please, let's go to the negotiation table. What's the reason of the fight? They stop the fight, right? But when people are taking sides, like, yeah, like I don't think that's the appropriate way to look at this conflict that's going on. Right?
Yeah, and I think, finish, sorry.
Yeah, like as you said, it's NATO who instigated this, right? In not so direct way, you know, they didn't go in guns blazing, but like you know, the whole point of politics is that to avoid wars, right? So meaning there was a failure in politics between NATO, the United States, and Russia, and that's why the war is happening. That's the only reason why the war is happening, because politics failed, right? Yeah, and politics failed because the United States and NATO double-crossed Russia, where in the 90s, before the Soviet Union broke apart, they agreed that NATO wouldn't expand, right? But as you see, they want to expand till, maybe one day they plan on Russia
The
joining NATO.
funny thing is, no mention of that in any Western media, mainstream. Like you won't see it anywhere. Why did Russia did what they did? No, because they're evil. Putin. You know, that's the part I don't like. Like, let's give people all the information and let them decide for themselves. That's why we have brains. But I think for us as Africans, I feel like what we need to do, we need to take notes. The first thing should be to take notes of how the war is going, how the Western world is moving, and what really goes on. Right? We're a bit outside now to see what is going on, because when it happens to our country, we tend to be a bit emotional. We tend to not care about facts and just go out there and start trouble. Right now we can see what's going on from outside of what's going on. Secondly, we need a permanent we need a permanent seat in the UN Security Council. Like, that's a fact, because Africa doesn't have one permanent seat, and that means we don't have a voice. Now, for example, what are African countries doing aside from saying stop it, stop it? Like, they literally don't have a voice. We don't. So this should also push our leaders to twist the Western world's arms. Like, we live in this world. We have a whole continent of 54 or 55, depending on what you want to say, countries, and over 1.3 billion people. So we need a voice. Now is the right time to really push for that. And also, I said the same thing when Corona hit, because imports stopped and they were worried for themselves, so they start hoarding vaccines. They didn't send us masks, and when that started happening, we started producing sanitizers. We started making gloves in our own countries. We started making masks. I know it sounds simple and little, but it did help. I'm sure somebody gained millions from that little transaction when COVID hit, right? So the same thing I said then is what I'll say now. This should really open our eyes to focus on our own continent. Let's stop looking for like a better life outside of Africa. I understand that everybody is going to have the chance to make a lot of money, or even the ones that are graduating, they're unemployed. I understand. I'm not blind to it. I'm just saying, whatever it takes, even if you have to suffer a little bit, I think the right place to build what you can, or at least try, is in this continent. And then maybe, even if you're not going to change your entire life, you can at least send your children to a better school, so that they can maybe stop romanticizing the Western world. Not just the Western world, the Arab world. We've covered horrific stories of what happens to our girls when they go there to be house helps, right? So my dream for us is to just start focusing here. I know it's not going to be easy, but it has been done before. Asian countries can be an example, right? So it can be done, but it can only be done if we keep the smartest people here, if we keep the people that have the most potential here, or at least when they go and learn, we find better opportunities for them to come back and exercise what they learned outside.
So like, even with that, the idea that an African youth thinks like there's more opportunity in Europe or not, it's all programming, right? Like, it's the media that makes them think that, right? Rather than stay home where the resources are, like, and benefit from those resources. So, like, think about it. Why is Europe, America, the West, China, all those countries so interested in Africa if there's nothing here, right? Wouldn't they be interested in their own countries? So where are you living, where everybody wants to be and exploit, going to a country that will mostly treat you badly? You'll mostly end up doing like terrible jobs. You're risking your life going there. You don't know if you'll make the journey or not. Why risk that? And here, like, you can You can, and I'm not saying like life is easy. If you work hard, you'll always be successful. But all I'm saying is that just try and don't let your first way out be like, oh, if I go to Europe, I'll make it in life. No, that's a narrative. That's like a Western narrative that has been ingrained ever since you started watching movies like Rambo or like this Arnold Schwarzenegger or anything made by Hollywood. Ever since you started watching that, you're being programmed to think everything is there in the West. Like recently, we've been watching some documentaries on homelessness in California, where it's so crazy. I've never we live in Kenya. Kenya doesn't have a homeless problem as close to what they're having in California, right? Also, the water problems they're facing in the United States in general, where like most of their water pipes are like leach lead, and they don't have clean natural water, right? You don't hear
Gun
those.
violence.
Yeah, like the violence and all, like the corruption. You don't hear those things in mainstream media because they choose to show you what they want to show you, right? And most of these Africans who go there find out the hard way. They go like, "Wow, it's actually like this." And even Steve Harvey like did an interview recently. I think we put it in Candid Africa, where he was saying, as you know, Steve Harvey was doing his show in Ghana and in South Africa.
South Africa.
Yeah, Family Feud, right? So he was saying for the first time in his life, when driving in his car, he was actually free and happy. Because in America, when you drive in your car as an African American, you can die the next minute. Like it's not a guarantee, no matter who you are, right? So he was saying the thing that he was enjoying while he was in Africa was like he could just drive, and enjoy the experience, because no police will come and take you out of your car, shoot you, right? That's something that me and you don't have to think at the back of our heads, right? So those are the things Western media will never tell you about the West, right? They just show you what they want to show you, and I'm keeping repeating the solution for that is for us now to have our own narrative, our own media agencies, and I don't mean one. I mean even every country in Africa should have its own 24-hour news channel, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's
And so that people don't feel paralyzed. I used to feel like, you see, when you see all these problems, you feel like there's not much you can do because you're just one tiny little person. But you can also choose to look at it. Yes, there are people that can afford to own agencies or governments that can invest to build this media uh, outlets that we're talking about, but also individually. Now we have a voice more than ever. There's social media. I know they can take it away from us like this. That's also something that we need to think about, having our own platforms that are owned by Africans. I think that's really important. But we also have individually, we have a voice. So you can choose with your own followers, like it can be Twitter, it can be Facebook, it can be YouTube, whatever it is. You can contribute to Africa by just having hundreds of people following you. Those people can now hear a different perspective, can now hear the truth because of you. So don't underestimate the power you have and the voice you have.
Yes. So now to recap. Thank you for joining to like on our stream. If you came in late, I'm Mikey Mushi, and I'm joined by Wongel, where we do this weekly African news podcast where we talk about all the happenings that took place during the week, and we just give our honest opinions. So nothing is scripted. We're not reporters, we're not journalists, we're just giving our honest opinions as Africans, where we just discuss these things. And feel free in the comments to ask us questions. Feel free to give us suggestions for other topics that we missed that we can cover in our next for next week. And also, Wangel, tell people where they can find you.
Okay. You can find me on my own channel as well as of African Diaspora News channel. My own channel is Wengil Zalalam, which is literally my name. It might be hard to pronounce or like write it down, so Michael will put it for you down below. Put somewhere. The link will be down below.
Yes, yes, yes. I'll I'll put the link, and I'll also link your channel to like in the description, so people can discover more African YouTubers, African content.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of us. There's so many of us. Like out there. So it's always good to promote each other and share our community, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
that's true.
So
And if you happen to like my content, make sure to subscribe.
yes. So let's continue.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can go to other things that happened this week, because the Ukrainian one has been big on the radar. So for us, we did a story where the DRC is finally joining the East African community, and it will be a game changer, because as all of you know, the Democratic Republic of Congo is technically the richest country on this planet, resource-wise. All the machines that you're using right now, if you're holding a mobile phone, if you're on your laptop, if you're on your tablet, right? Everything has a piece of DR Congo inside it, right? Everything has everything as something that comes from DR Congo. It's called coltan. It's the one that makes all your batteries. It's the one that makes most electronics, the integrated circuits, right? So this huge country, resource-wise, and also it's the second largest country in Africa, second only to Algeria, is now going to be part of the East African community. That is Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, and South Sudan, right? So now it's going to start from the Indian Ocean till the Atlantic Ocean, a huge region with a population of more than 200 million people. Like you can imagine that, right? Which region block has 200 million people that like so many resources. So for us, this is based on our model of how Africa will unite, right? Because most people I talk to, most Pan-Africanists still have this fantasy that Africa will unite one day and we'll have one president, right? But as we are more pragmatic, where we say yes, Africa will eventually unite, but using baby steps, right? So we always say that by these regions becoming bigger and stronger, so the East African region is becoming so huge. And there's also talks that Ethiopia wants to join the East African community. So imagine like 200 million, Ethiopia has like more than like 150 million people, right? So that's almost a quarter of a billion people who would soon be one region where you can trade easily, where they're thinking about one currency, right? So that's the future of Africa unity, where it's step by step, being pragmatic, like doing things based on your needs, right? So think about it. The East African community is one region, SADC. So all the Southern African countries is one region, ECOWAS. All Western
ECOWAS.
African countries, one region, North Africa, all Northern African countries, one region. So isn't it easier for four or five regions to work together than 55 or 54 countries to work together, right? Isn't it easier for us to communicate better, have one currency, have like trade easier between four rather than 55, right? Less paperwork, less politics, less bureaucracy, right? So that's our vision of how Africa will eventually become one, right? Step by step, region by region, it will be slow, it will be boring, it won't be this revolution where there's like, yay, we finally did it, right? Yeah. So that's why things like that really make us happy when things like the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, when things as country, trade pacts like that happen, when the East African community like becomes bigger. We are really happy when they talk about one currency. West Africa was also talking about its own currency, which will follow up on that story. So like that, right? Step by step, step by step. So that's why that story was on our radar this week.
Yeah, sounds awesome, and I hope it happens, and I hope Ethiopia joins as well. And so the other hot topic this week was our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. Jamaicans are refusing to just be tossed to the side or like not being given a voice. They've been talking about this for decades. So they've been asking for one, reparation, two, to get an apology from the British for what they did to them for slavery, right? And third, they wanted the Queen to be removed from head of state. Nobody cared until now. Now, at least there's some heat going on because when Prince William and Kate visited last week, Jamaicans protested and they said, we no longer want the royals. They're not our royals. Why are they still our head of state? So now the government said that they are working towards, they're in the process of removing the Queen as the head of state. So that is a big news. Barbados did the same thing a few months ago, removed the Queen and became a republic. So I mean, all we can do is be happy for them and talk about this and put some pressure on the royals to just allow Jamaica to be free.
So also to add on that, like one thing that has never ceased to amaze me is why we are even still related with like our colonizers. Why we still act like nothing happened, right? Why we still act like we're just like we're just buddies back then, right? So the thing is, like the sad part is even if Jamaica, even if Barbados, they're going to not be still under the Queen, they'll still be part of the Commonwealth, right? And the Commonwealth still is like an insane idea for me. There's no Commonwealth between the UK, which stole from Africa, and from still today, it's still using our resources to say they're better than us, and a country like Kenya, a country like Jamaica, right? So for me, I think these countries should even go further and start leaving the Commonwealth. In the future, I would really like to start that campaign, and instead of
And
Africa
even
joining.
asking for reparation,
Yeah.
not just leave.
That one we will eventually get it. I can guarantee you, like it will not be maybe our generation, but they actually think we've forgotten about the things that we do, right? Like about the things that they did for to us. But technically, if it's not in our lifetime, we will eventually get everything that's owed to us, everything, right? And with inflation, right? So even like Jamaica is saying the UK owes them like 9 billion pounds, I think, in reparation. But the problem is that's 9 billion pounds then, right? So for me, if it's supposed to be real reparation, it should be more than 9 billion pounds to account for all the inflation and all the damage that has been done throughout the years and the late payment of the reparation, right? All that should be added. So it could easily be more than 100 billion that only Jamaica is owed by the British.
And that is precisely why they don't want to apologize. They don't even acknowledge it. You know that, right? One of the questions Jamaicans had was acknowledge that this was a crime against humanity. And they don't even want to accept that. So I suspect they're doing that because if they apologize and accept in Jamaica, they have to do it to Barbados, they have to do it to Kenya, they have to do it like in all these countries that they've caused chaos in. Like it's going to be really hard for them and they will go just in the negative. As a nation, they won't even survive it. So I think that's why they do not even want to talk about it and just be blind to the situation in hand. Yeah.
A good example is Germany when they apologized to Namibia for the genocide they committed, and they only offered like a measly $2 billion for.
And Namibians refused.
Yeah, they refused.
They're like, no, what is this? This is peanuts.
we appreciate the apology, but this is like you don't get to choose your punishment, right? Right?
Yeah.
Like you don't go to be like, hey, I'm sorry, here, take this sweet, right? Or take take this $1. No, 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 no. You say you're sorry, then we have peace and reconciliation, where we like the people who got hurt decide how much is owed to them, not the country that hurt you decides what is owed to you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so also this is the time where if you've joined us, you can ask us questions, or we can start commenting on what you guys have to say about our conversation. Because previously in the chat, I had people complaining about Trevor Noah or defending Trevor Noah. And for me, like I like Trevor Noah, but you have to understand where he works and who pays his salary. He doesn't say those things because he believes those things or he wants to say those things. It's a job. He has to make a living.
Yeah. And he has actual writers. Like me and Michael right now are just talking about what we think, right? There's no one that is telling us if you say this, your job, you're risking your job. For him, he has a lot of stake. I'm not saying what he's doing is right, but I'm just saying literally somebody gives him a paper to read from and talk. So you also have to, think about that. But as you said, I love Trevor Noah. He's our brother, right? He's very talented, but I just wish he can go independent and just because you can tell he's intelligent. So it's just like, why? But yeah, I get it.
And they always keep warning people like about this. Just because you're watching the news and it's somebody who looks like you and it's from BBC Africa or CNN Africa, there's nothing African about that, right? It's just somebody they've hired to continue to share the propaganda, right? So don't take it personally. Don't take whatever they say with a grain of salt, right? If you want to see the real Trevor Noah, go to his YouTube channel and check out his old skits before he joined the show and actually see what he was saying, right? Actually hear like listen to his banter and what it's like
he's different.
Like extremely different, but understanding it's a job. You have to like if you're paid to be a duck, you have to act like a duck, right? Okay. So let's see if you have any questions. Wait. Before we continue, something also big happened, I think, just yesterday. So Ethiopia, for the third time, has offered the TPLF truce, and it said we've given you like a peace treaty to take care of your people, right? This is the third time. The first one, the TPLF refused. The second one, the TPLF said it was a sick joke, but now things are changing. So let's hope this time the TPLF will agree and let the people of Tigray actually get aid and help the people of Tigray. Because technically, based on what's happening, the TPLF has been using the people of Tigray as hostages, right? Forcing the Ethiopian government to hurt their own people in a way to force in a way to make the government look bad, right? The Ethiopian government wants to help the people of Tigray. They've sent so many food trucks that way, but based on our reports, most of those things get stolen, or even if the military, the TPLF rebels get their hands on the food, they use them to fuel their war, and it doesn't go to the people. So and even during this whole Tigray conflict, we've never been against any one person from Tigray, right? We're only against the TPLF, who are actually using the people as pawns in this case. So at least now that's a good thing. Let's hope that TPLF, they've learned the lesson from the two previous ceasefires that they squandered, and they'll actually use this to help reach the people of Tigray.
I read on BBC today that they're saying that they will allow food aid to come. We'll see if that's gonna happen, but that's what they're saying. And we all know BBC gets first-hand information from them. So
yes, definitely. They've got let's say the inside scoop on
yes.
all matters TPLF, right?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe they even get memos, personal memos. Dear BBC, please tell the world that we are, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
insane. Yeah.
So let's see if we've got any questions. Most people are just agreeing that Western media is just brainwashing Africans, and also like we posted a video this week of an old speech that Robert Mugabe did on NATO, where he was saying how NATO lied to the whole world and invaded and murdered Muammar Gaddafi, invaded Libya and murdered Muammar Gaddafi, right? The video has gone viral. It's almost even reaching 1 million views.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing about that is that I like how we have the ability to share the truth, right? A
Mm.
speech like that was buried deep in the UN archives. If you just know where we got that speech, it was in UN.web under the archives. It wasn't even titled right? It wasn't even titled
Wow.
using his name. That's how they bury things that they don't want you to find. So we found the speech, we posted it, and technically in that speech, 100%, what he's saying is 100% accurate, right? There's no false information whatsoever. He's actually calling NATO out for deceiving the United Nations, because NATO went to the United Nations and said, hey, we are going to Libya just to protect the civilians. We don't apply no-fly zone just to protect the civilians, right? That's the permission the United Nations gave them, right? Like it wasn't any military effort. They were supposed to have no boots on the ground. A week later, weeks later, they go in, they murder Muammar Gaddafi and like tens of thousands of Libyan civilians, right? So technically, they failed on protecting the civilians, right, during the war and after the war, right? And they murdered a head of state, right? Like in broad daylight. They might show you the videos of the Libyan people
Mm.
going and killing Gaddafi, but we technically didn't see who killed Gaddafi, right? They just the footage from if you're
I've
brave,
I've
you go.
watched I've watched
Like,
that footage of them like sodomizing him and stuff, and I didn't sleep that night. I remember it was horrible.
so like there's a part missing. They show him while he's alive and they show him while he's dead, but there's no footage
Mm.
of showing who actually killed him, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
they don't
I would
have to kill him with their own hands. Like they ordered the killing. I think that's enough for me.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
are the one that made the
But
decision.
and technically it's NATO that killed him. That go like you go to a foreign country, you kill like a leader of that country, right? So like I would recommend you in the people watching, just go watch that speech and let us know what you think. Is it like was Mugabe right? And Mugabe was the only few people who had nothing to lose, so he could just go
Oh
at the
wow.
UN and say the truth. These days there are extremely few African leaders who can do that, right?
Yeah. Mugabe
Like
is special, but also you have to, I think you have to also move in a certain way. Look at Magufuli as well. He was a
yes,
loved leader, but
yeah,
at the
and he
same time,
spoke
since
his
he was brutally honest, people lost their leader. So I feel
yes.
like when you're a leader, I don't judge those that are really trying to navigate things and trying to be smooth. Like you have to, in a way,
Yeah,
be
like
also
again,
good with their relationships.
yeah,
So I'm not mad at that, but Mugabe was special.
yeah. So maybe we should achieve. African leaders should achieve, like,
Mm.
should want to reach at a point where they can speak like Putin, where if like this week, Putin said all those countries that are supporting Ukraine will have to buy their oil and gas in rubles, right? Like that's a power move. No African leader can be like, hey, now because you people colonized us, you're going to have to use the shilling, right? That's
But
that's
we're
important. Yeah.
we're far from that power place. So I think moving with wisdom. I'm saying
Yeah,
wisdom. I'm not saying be a hypocrite. I'm just saying let's do it with wisdom, because we don't want to lose the very few good leaders we have left.
yeah. So like as I said, this thing is a long game, right? We are not going to
Yep.
unite just one day. We have to
Yeah.
go step by step, right? So and you have to learn how to play the game, yeah, because
Agreed.
it's a Western control world, and we just live in it, right? So
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. So maybe we can start answering some of the questions. So maybe you can take this one, Wonga.
Yeah. Who is UN though? That's what I'm reading, right? My phone is a bit
Yeah.
far. Who is UN though? The same son? Okay, you have to read it for me. It's a
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
far.
Son of Nok is saying who is UN though? The same NATO members. So when you say when the UN gave them permission, they actually went to themselves. But this is one thing that people don't know about the UN. Africa has the largest bloc at the United Nations, right? So if all African countries, 54, decided to back or vote against a resolution. So let's say if all 54 African countries decided to vote against Ukraine, the proposition wouldn't have passed. It's simple as that. Africa has the largest bloc in the UN, and they can sway the vote regardless of which way they want, right? So the UN is not controlled by NATO. It's just that African leaders are actually controlled by those European countries. So in turn, they end up controlling the UN through these African leaders. But if Africa just woke up one day and say, hey, from today on, we'll vote. If it's yes, all of us will vote yes. No resolution will pass the General Assembly. Now that's why we also need a veto, as you said. We also need Africa to have a veto Security Council seat where it can also veto some of these things. So let's say if Africa had a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council, they could have said no to the Libya invasion, right? It just takes one vote. So that's why things like that are very important, because we'll have now a veto and we'll have the largest bloc at the UN. Technically, it's actually possible for Africa to fully control the United Nations, right? Yeah. So the United Nations is not NATO. It's just that Africans are being used once again.
Yeah, and AU doesn't have a voice as well. It's just there, right? If AU was strong as the EU's, and like if we had one voice together, as you just said, we would have been a bit more powerful. Now we're just part of the UN, but like we're just dolls. Like we don't do much because of the influence that is above the leaders.
Yes. So, Search for Truth is saying African education. So, Alpha is saying no Libyans are paying the price for being ungrateful. So after Gaddafi died, there was so much death and so much destruction, so much destruction of a country, and Libya has lost billions of dollars in stolen resources. So think about it. Like the argument that people have against Gaddafi was that he was a dictator. He used to murder maybe his political enemies. But for me, I'm usually pragmatic. Like think about it, right? Even if Gaddafi you like murdered 100 or 1,000 of his political rivals, right? When he died, how many Libyans died along for that, right? Is 100,000 Libyan death worth 10 deaths, right? So for me, I usually don't understand that mathematics that, at least they removed Gaddafi. They removed Gaddafi, a civil war ensued, Libya lost hundreds of thousands of civilians. Libyans lost billions of dollars. Oil theft. Libya right now still has not had an election, right? There's still technically tensions, and where there are two regions split in half, right? So by forcing their democracy on us, they could rather murder each other, but at least we have democracy. Like, are you getting how ironic that ideology is? Like, they force democracy, it's okay if we murder each other, but as long as at the end of the day we have their democracy, we live like they do, we've got the ideology. So that's one thing I'll never understand, why like the West interferes in other countries. Let a country decide its own path. If Libyans wanted to remove Gaddafi, they would have eventually done it their own way, right? Not by going to a country and murdering a president of another country.
Yeah.
So let's see. Democracy is an illusion. So somebody's Vince is like, democracy is an illusion. It never existed. Yeah, democracy doesn't exist. What exists is capitalism, right? And democracy is just a clothing for like capitalism, right? So they're just pushing their capitalism on other regions.
Yeah.
So let's see. Okay, so maybe we can stop there for today. So today has been our first episode, if you've not realized, and we'd really like your feedback on if you like this show, what we can improve. Maybe if you like, maybe we have cards for the topics that we discuss, or we can be sharing the topics before. Like, just give us your idea, and we'll continue to improve this show. But it's important to tell us if you liked it, and you can do that by sharing this video and liking it, because that's the best way of letting YouTube know that you liked this video, right? So maybe any other thing you'd like to add?
Oh, yeah, as Michael said, just let us know. It could be anything. It could be visual, audio. Just let us know so that we can give you the best experience. We want to just give you recaps every week, and also have the needed conversation. And if you would also like us to be like an interaction between us and you, just let us know down below. That's the most important thing. And for me, I want to end this by saying, yes, there's a lot of issues in Africa, and we're going to continue talking about it. I don't think silence is the way to go. Some people say, I hear some people saying, why, but always complaining. I'm like, if we don't talk about it, then how can we fix it? So I don't believe in staying quiet. So let's just talk about it, and also understand that there's power in unity. When we say unity, some people think it's a cliche, right? Like Africa Unite, and Bob Marley had been singing about, like, it's been there for years. Marcus Garvey, like, they've really tried, right? And people feel like it's just a dream we have and it's never going to happen. But as Michael said, it doesn't necessarily have to be one leader, all of us come together. It's going to be step by step. But I believe the big step for us would be knowledge and information. So let's just keep the discussion going. Let's start supporting our own, and let's learn together. Nobody's saying that we're an expert. It's about brainstorming, talking about things, bringing it to this platform so that all of us have a chance to come up with ideas and figure out where we stand in things, instead of someone coming and telling you a perfect formula that they've come up for themselves, what will benefit them. I think it's better to just have a discussion, and let's continue this talk. I love it. So thank you for watching. Mike, I think you're muted, or is it me?
Sorry, I was
Okay.
muted. Yeah, like I was saying, we will also add guests to the show, and so that we can have different perspectives from just both of us. And we'll also be inviting channel members. So if you are a channel member from Wangel's channel, if you're a channel member, we'll be inviting you guys, and you can participate live in the conversation, right? Ask us a question live, or come and also discuss with us, right? So it will be an open platform where we'll have different voices. Yeah, like we would love to bring in somebody who disagrees with us, who's like, Gaddafi should have been murdered 10 years before, and also Mugabe was a crazy old man. Things like we just don't want to bring people where we are all agreeing. Come with your own opinions, and let's discuss it out, because the best way of moving forward is through dialogue, right? Yeah. Yeah. So feel welcome if you agree with our opinions or not. It's a free platform. And with that said, make sure to check out Wanga's channel. Make sure to check out our channel. We leave the descriptions of where you can subscribe to her channel. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you for joining. Oh yeah, before I forget, thank you to all our super chats and our new members who joined this chat. And that's a very nice way of supporting us, directly supporting us. And it goes a long way, right? It can be $2, it can be $20, but at the end of the day, it really helps us put this thing together, right? So tell people about the show, and maybe I should end with my tagline, and you can end with yours. So ours is Africa is watching.
Mine is stay blessed.
Okay. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.